The internet is a big dumpster.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my asshole bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. I just can't understand it. So could define by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. I don't wanna hear it. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish. Mr. Whitebeard, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in the blood, letting cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Tomatos, I'll pack your bags. Bury you with my cat treated gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tombo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public demented. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. Don't let the fucking pill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Everybody, welcome to the Plex. We usually do this show Sundays at 7 p.m. Pacific, but it's Mother's Day and I had shit to do. So we're doing the show red light mode Sunday, the 12th at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm sorry, I'm still recovering from a food coma. You can support this project at echoplexmedia.com. Click the support tab and find your favorite way. The new Pride merch is out, so that might be a great way to support the program. What's up, AvBab? For people listening on the podcast, this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be doing this like a red light show. So you're going to hear me interacting with chat, talking to people, thanking people for rating me, hopefully thanking people for giving me money, all kinds of other stuff like that. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr, and this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your buddy drops, donate the cops. Donate the cops, donate the cops. Donate the cops. Thank your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Thank your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fearless judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong, don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job, don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
Well, it's been 2 weeks since we've done the news here, and well, Kristi Noem has had one hell of a 2 weeks. She's even lost Janine Pirro.
Yes.
What? I have 4 rescues, and I have a puppy. I got to tell you, what she's done is she's sabotaged herself, whether or not it was to buttress what was coming down the road. But she also managed to unite the right and the left, because America, if nothing else, we are dog lovers. And don't tell me you shot a pup because it wasn't used to hunting. Maybe you're not a good teacher.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh, shit.
and this whole thing with the chickens,
Spill the box wine, Janine. Spill the box wine.
were the chickens dead? Was your dog on their property? Should you have had your dog on a leash? Should your farm have been fenced? I could go on and on because I love dogs.
This is the whole first segment of this show. Everybody is it's fucking just dunking on Kristi Noem. Here we go. Here's Kristi Noem going to talk to somebody. Actually, she's gonna make a statement about all this. She's like, don't believe the fake news, lady. The fake news came from your own fucking book. Let's go.
Well, Sean, you know how the fake news works. They leave out some or most of the facts of a story. They put the worst spin on it. And that's what's happened in this case. I hope people really do buy this book and they find out the truth of this story, because
I don't want to buy your book and find out again about you killing your dog.
The truth of the story is that this was a working dog, and it was not a puppy. It was a dog that was extremely dangerous. It had come to us from a family who had found her way too aggressive. We were her second chance, and the day she was put down was a day that she massacred livestock that were part of our neighbors. She attacked me, and it was a hard decision. And the reason it's in the book is because this book is filled with tough, challenging decisions that I've had to make throughout my life. And I hope that people understand from this that what the point of this story is that most politicians, they will run from the truth. They will...
or maybe they just won't talk about something like this.
shy away and
Nobody was going to know otherwise,
tough
Kristi.
decisions. I don't do either of those. I tell the truth and I make tough decisions. People attacked me during COVID for keeping my state open. They called me wrong and attacked me night after night on TV for not doing mandates and not forcing people to get vaccines.
Which is exactly the same as shooting a dog.
Or wear masks. They're doing it again now with this. I just hope people will read the book, find out the truth, because this was a dangerous animal. And I had a choice between keeping my small children and other people safe or a dangerous animal, and I chose the safety of my children.
You know, I was shocked when we learned that Joe Biden, and he has a German Shepherd, that when all was said and done, 24 Secret Service agents were bitten by a German Shepherd, by a big dog.
But they didn't, the Secret Service didn't shoot the dog, though. I don't know if is that true? I don't know. The Secret Service do a good job of keeping their fucking mouth shut, but also, yeah, I don't know if you got to bite somebody. I guess bite the fucking Secret Service. Maybe they were secret servicing too aggressively. here's Kristi Noem on Newsmax. They're trying to offer her an out here. They're watch this. This is so good. What the hell? Let's try this again here. Something seems wrong here. Great website you got here. Here we go. Something seems fucking quite wrong. Oh, well, we'll just run it from here. Here's a... Oh, there we go. Fucking wonderful website you got there, Mr. Clyde. All right, here's her on Newsmax being offered an out, and she doesn't take it.
I've also written a couple of books, and I know how the process works. You write some chapters. You don't write the whole book at once. You write a chapter or two. You send it to the editors, and they edit. They read it. They add. They subtract. And here's my question. The editor, was she possibly a plant, a liberal plant? Because I'm not sure either one of these stories, the dog story, the North Korea story, seems like the Kristi Noem I know.
No, the buck always stops with me. I take my own full responsibility. I wrote this book, and I take the responsibility for what's in it. It's a great book, Eric. I hope everybody reads it and buys it.
The Newsmax guy was trying to be like, did your editor plant this to discredit you? And even Kristi Noem was like, no, I wrote the book. It's my book. I killed the dog. And now here she is on Face the Nation. She wants to make sure you know. I think it's like a warning shot, right? She's like, and I'll kill your dog too. Here, she is on Face the Nation. So there's a couple things here. Don't, after this happens, maybe just lay low for a while. I'm not a fucking media consultant, but I probably should be. Here she is on Face the Nation.
So you write about lessons learned in leadership, and you bring up some specific incidents I want to ask you about. You talk about meeting some world leaders, and one specific one, quote, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, I'm sure he underestimated me, having no clue about my experience staring down little tyrants. I've been a children's pastor after all.
Wait,
Did
what?
you meet Kim Jong-un?
Well, as soon as this was brought to my attention, I certainly made some changes and looked at this passage. And I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. As soon as it was brought to my attention,
That's a lot of words for no.
we went forward and have made some edits. So I'm glad that this book is being released in a couple of days, and that those edits will be in place, and that people will have the updated version.
So you did not meet with Kim Jong-un. That's what you're saying.
No, I met with many, many world leaders.
Just say no. Fucking, you had the opportunity. You blame the editor. The other dude told you blame the editor.
Many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. I think I've talked extensively in this book about my time serving in Congress, my time as governor, before governor, some of the travels that I've had. I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that. This anecdote shouldn't have been in the book, and as soon as it was brought to my attention, I made sure that that was adjusted. So the book is not released until Tuesday, and so we're doing all that we can to make sure that those changes are made, and I'm going to continue to focus on what
if it's coming out on Tuesday, they printed hell of these books, because they don't just print them the day that it comes. They've printed hell of these books. Oh, she's losing a lot of money.
And the blueprint that it lays out for the American citizen on all of the things in the background and stories of my life, but also what I think that needs to be identified in politics and what's broken today. I talk about how broken the money game is, how broken it is that we've got consultants that are getting rich off of elected officials, and then how fake some elected politicians are. Every single person in this country wants someone in elected office that's a human being, that doesn't say they're perfect. I take responsibility for that being in the book, and as soon as it was brought to my attention, I asked for it to be changed. So I'm glad that the release date is in a couple of days, and we're excited to talk to America about my new book, No Going Back.
So
you didn't just say, no, I did not mean, like, the damage is, lady, the damage is already done. The damage is, I just say no. Here's her on News Nation. I forget who's called News Nation, the land of misfit anchors. But here she is with the land of misfit anchors, also talking about, I guess, her book. Why are you talking? Well, don't go on don't cancel your press junket. Like, what are you doing? No going back. Yeah, I know. Curious. No going back. I guess not on the press junket anyway. Here she is with the land of misfit anchors.
But clearly, if you're taking it out of the book, it's because it's untrue.
I've given you my answer, no, and that's not the answer. I would say that, this is something that I asked to have adjusted and have the content and that name removed, and that is truly what the action has been.
You said when you learned of it, you immediately took action.
Mm-hmm.
You recorded the whole book and the audiobook. You read this whole passage out loud. Why didn't you take it out then when you read the audiobook?
I've traveled for years. I've been involved in policy for almost 30 years. And
I'm sorry, like, you might not remember specifically if you met the Interior Minister or the Health Secretary for the United Kingdom, right? Like, if you make that mistake and you're like, somebody's like, well, actually, it was the Interior Minister. You're like, oopsie. This is Kim Jong-un. you remember this.
Gone all across the world. I've met with world leaders.
So you didn't realize when you recorded the audiobook?
When it was brought to my attention, and I asked the publisher if they would remove the name, and they did.
Okay, but you didn't answer my question. When you posted pictures and video of yourself recording the audiobook. When you recorded your own audiobook, you didn't notice
I'm not going to discuss about my meetings with world leaders.
I'm not asking you to. I'm asking.
But you tried to.
Do you want to talk about something else today?
No, I just wanted to know. We're just trying to get a straight answer from it. This has been...
Oh, you did. And I took responsibility for it.
But you put it in your book. It's not like they were asking you, like, oh, I heard somebody say you met Kim Jong-un. No, you put it in your book. People are going to ask you about like, what if they were just like curious? We didn't know you met Kim Jong-un. That's pretty cool. She's like, I don't discuss my meetings with world leaders, even though I put them in my book. You dumb fuck. But don't worry. There's always some ghoul out there to defend these people, and that person's name is oftentimes Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire. So here's Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire. He's like, oh, actually, none of this seems that bad to me.
Okay, my third point here is, yes, it was politically dumb for Noem to admit this. Yes, her political calculation misfired. I'm mixing metaphors. You get the point. But the third point is, Noem didn't do anything wrong.
Wait, what?
You might say it wasn't advisable. You might say there were better things she could have done. She could have given the dog up for adoption. She could have tried to train the dog. There is nothing wrong with a human being humanely killing an animal. There's nothing wrong. You're all, not all of you, but many of you are eating meat right now. Very few people live on farms anymore, I guess. It's a little bit different. Maybe if you live in the city, you take your puppy, you take your little cat in a stroller down the sidewalk. I'm not joking. I have friends who've done this in the city. They'll put their animal in a stroller so that the poor little paws of the animal.
What, does he live in the Castro?
Don't touch the dirty sidewalk. And then you'll go and you'll take them to a doctor and you'll pay thousands of dollars to treat the animal for whatever ailment or to try to train the animal psychologically. And sometimes that doesn't work. And then you'll pay even more money to euthanize it. That doesn't happen in the country. Okay. That doesn't happen on farms. What? And sometimes if
people on farms don't be taking their dog to the vet, get the fuck out of here.
If a dog is threatening people and if a dog is destroying other people's property, sometimes you got to put the dog down like Old Yeller. It would be one thing if Kristi and Noem were torturing this dog like a serial killer or something. That would be wrong. And it would be wrong. It's wrong to mistreat animals, not because the animals have any rights. Animals don't have a rational soul. The reason it's wrong, nevertheless, to mistreat.
What do you mean a rational soul? What do you mean animals don't have a soul? I don't believe in a soul, so I don't think they have a soul either, but not. I think they're conscious and like, I don't know.
Animals is because it deadens our own humanity. C.S. Lewis writes about this extensively. If you are needlessly inflicting pain and suffering to the degree that an animal can suffer
to the degree an animal can suffer,
that's deadening your humanity. That's bad that's what makes it wrong because you are a rational creature.
This guy's a fucking, that's funny. The X1011 in chat's like, oh, the animals can't debate.
And that's harmful to your soul and it's harmful to society.
I never saw that dog on a YouTube channel debating the validity of its own existence.
Nothing wrong intrinsically with humanely putting down a farm dog. A bullet to the head is about as humane a way as you can put down any animal.
So if the animal is old and suffering, yes, I have no problem with that. If the animal is aggressive, well, maybe, yeah, there are legitimately charities that specialize in taking animals from people that they cannot handle because of things like aggression, mostly things like aggression. She could have just taken the fucking dog to one of those places. They're probably not going to be a great life for the dog, but my God. So we're done with that. Now we're going to move on to the trials and tribulations of our former president. We're going to start, of course, with Laura Trump, because, of course, we are. And she is going to talk about how, as a daughter-in-law, what's happening is terrifying. I don't know what you mean as a daughter-in-law, but here we go.
They think that it's just about going after Donald Trump. It may be Donald Trump today sitting in that courtroom, but it is our very democracy, our constitutional republic that hangs in the balance because, Sean, as the speaker just said, if they are successful in their attempt to take out the lead candidate for president of the United States with these communist tactics, what kind of country is this going to be? It is terrifying. As an American, it is terrifying. As a daughter-in-law, it is terrifying. This is not how this country was designed to work. But
communism is when you attempt to hold people responsible for their fucking behavior, I suppose. If my dad isn't granted immunity, if you don't grant my dad immunity, then we're going to arrest Joe Biden. Joe Biden's getting arrested if you don't grant my dad immunity. Faith.
The Supreme Court is now weighing this monumental case on whether or not President Trump has immunity from prosecution. We saw some of the hearing this week, and it felt like, listening to some of those Supreme Court justices, that they were willing to admit to some or acknowledge some immunity. What did you take away from what you heard from the Supreme Court this week, and when do you expect a decision?
Well, God help us if they get it wrong. That's what I take away. I know the system very, very well. And the only people who are going to benefit are big law firms in Washington, D.C., because they are going to go after every single president. They'll start with Obama. Fast and Furious, right? Where he gives 2,000 weapons to cartel members. And then they'll go to Obama where he weaponized the IRS against conservatives. They'll probably go after Joe Biden for having cocaine in the White House. They'll go after Biden then for raiding his opponent's home. They'll probably go after him after that for literally 2 weeks before the 2022 primaries, literally depleting the petroleum national, the reserves so he could lower gas prices by 4 cents and hopefully help him actually in the polls. I mean, where do you want to stop? Are they going to go after George Bush for lying about, weapons of mass destruction?
Like, he's like, if my dad is held responsible for his behavior, they might hold other presidents responsible for their behavior. I'm like, all right, good.
Where does this stop, Maria? The only people that are going to win are going to be the lawyers in Washington, D.C. The floodgates are going to open, and I guarantee you Joe Biden will not have 1 foot outside of the White House doors before they start going after him legally, ruthlessly. Presidents need immunity in this country. If they don't, their entire tenure as president is literally going to be filled in depositions and subpoenas like they've tried to do to my father for the last 8 years. We can't have this legal lawfare in this country. We need a president
legal lawfare
to actually be able to function and run the United States of America.
So are you expecting that in June, a decision from the Supreme Court? What are you expecting?
Well, I certainly hope that presidents have absolute immunity. And if they don't, they're not going to be able to function as presidents of the United States. You're going to have a president that literally every single day, Biden, hey, when they withdrew from Afghanistan, 13 service members were killed. Is that manslaughter because he was incompetent? I mean, where do you draw the line, Maria?
Okay, so that's like very different than like what's happening here. First of all, the thing in New York right now with Stormy Daniels, that was during the campaign. He didn't do that as the president. And now he's no longer the president, and he is subject to prosecution for the campaign law that the state of New York believes that he violated before he was the president. Just becoming the president doesn't mean that that any time that you broke the law before, it doesn't matter. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if I have to follow the fucking law, so should the president. There should be some there should be some sort of leeway when they have to make tough decisions or something. I just don't. This doesn't make sense, though. Here's Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton being like, well, if Donald Trump doesn't have complete immunity, we should prosecute Barack Obama for doing drone strikes. And I'm like, well, these were acts of war. This is amazing. This is fucking amazing.
Immunity.
Yeah, Attorney General Paxton, on the off chance that the Supreme Court comes back and does not say presidents are immune from official acts, do you think your administration...
Okay, hold on. The paying Stormy Daniels to be quiet was not an official act as a president. It was a part of the campaign.
Would pursue charges against, say, Barack Obama for the drone strikes and murdering of 3 American citizens?
Yeah, so every state's different. I don't actually have the authority. Unfortunately, in my state, I cannot prosecute unless it's referred by a district attorney. But I certainly think that if there's no immunity, that ought to be considered, that both sides ought to be treated exactly the same. And so if somehow Barack Obama should be prosecuted just like Donald Trump, they should be treated the same. And whatever the law is, it should apply equally to everybody.
Is there...
Right, but he's not... Donald Trump isn't being like charged with like a crime related to a war. This was a campaign thing. It's a campaign thing. All of it essentially was campaign shit, right? It was specifically with regard to the election. All of it. Yeah, all of it. All of it. But also, like, yeah, the president should be held responsible for things like somebody in the chat said, executing a U.S. citizen without a trial. Yeah, actually, the fucking president, that president should be fucking charged with fucking crimes for that. Absolutely. I don't give a fuck who they are. Like I said, man, if I got to follow the law, so do they. Up next, oh boy, his trial's sure going good. Apparently, Stormy Daniels had some things to say. This would be much funnier if maybe if he wasn't 50-50-ish chance of being the president again.
the prosecution started asking her about this payment that was made, and I'm trying to think of exactly what it was because it was so powerful. She basically said that later on, after he was already president, they had a conversation about the payment to Stormy Daniels. And what he said to her was, it's a good thing the story didn't come out before the election.
Oops.
And as she was saying, it felt like a Perry Mason moment, because she very much was saying, she very much was confirming what the prosecution theory was that the whole reason they suppressed that was because of the election. And at that moment, she started to cry, and her voice cracked. And then the defense attorney, Emil Bove, got up and asked her a question like, confirm what your job is or something like that. And then she broke down crying. And you know, as a defense attorney, you know, she just basically gave the prosecution what they needed. They tied the primary reason that Donald Trump wanted this story not to come out before was because of the election. And I think the gravity of what she had just provided to the prosecution, she broke down crying.
So they're talking about his former defense attorney who was like testifying against him, which is pretty fucking crazy. Because again, it wasn't in the context, like she was testifying, it wasn't in the context of like, her doing legal advice or whatever. He was literally just talking to her about the fucking campaign, which is dumb. Don't ever like, just keep your fucking lawyer. Oh God, keep your lawyer like separate from your campaign. Then none of this happens to you. All right, up next, here's Newt Gingrich. I guess he's still around. I'm going to bring out this fucking ghoul to talk about this trial now.
And so if you watch the judge in New York, the most important battlefield of this entire campaign is an appointed, corrupt judge in New York who I believe is about to put Donald Trump in prison. And that's a very dangerous thing. It's dangerous to our Constitution. By what right does an appointed local judge put somebody who is the nominee of their party, former president, in prison? But he's openly told us twice now in 2 weeks that it's going to happen. And I think it's very dangerous at the most basic of levels. Just ask yourself, what would it be like to be Trump in prison in New York?
He'd be in solitary. Yeah, they're not going to like put him in general population. Like, oh man, the great thing about this is it's a state crime. Can't fucking pardon himself if he wins. This is so fucking crazy. This is all so fucking crazy. They're basically saying if you're powerful enough, if you're politically powerful enough, the state or the locality or whatever, the district attorney shouldn't be able to charge you, and the judge shouldn't be able to apply a sentence to you if you were convicted by a jury. Like, this is fucking goddamn amazing. Goddamn amazing. Up next, Donald Trump is so innocent. That's what you say when you're innocent. You just go out and tell everybody, not just that I'm innocent, I am so innocent.
Ooh. Thank you very much. Everybody saw what happened today. I don't think we have to do any explaining. I'm not allowed to anyway, because this judge is corrupt. He's a corrupt judge. This judge, what he did and what his ruling was, is a disgrace. Everybody saw what happened today. He's a corrupt judge, and he's totally conflicted. And I got to get back on the campaign trail. I'm not supposed to be here. We are so innocent. There's never been anything like it. Read every single analyst, legal analyst. I'm innocent, and I'm being held in this court with a corrupt judge who's totally conflicted. Take a look at his conflict. It's a disgrace to the city of New York, to the state of New York, and to the country. Thank you very much.
That's judge is conflicted. I'm not even supposed to be here. Oh man, it's like fucking Clerks, dude. It's like, oh, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Also, just not the brightest strategy to try to piss off the judge. Not a great idea. Up next, he's like, I had to sit. Nobody's ever had to. I had to sit. I sat the best, but nobody's ever had to sit like this.
But you have a judge who's totally conflicted, totally, absolutely conflicted, that he's rushing this case through. I'll tell you what, somebody just told me they'd never sat for such a long period of time in a courthouse before. It's ridiculous. I'm supposed to be in Georgia. I'm supposed to be in New Hampshire. I'm supposed to be in Ohio and lots of other places.
Nobody's had to sit like this before yet. No criminal defendant has ever had to sit in the courtroom for hours on end. This has never happened to anybody. Oh, here we got a brilliant strategy from somebody on Fox. Somebody's like, oh, actually, I think I need to talk about the judge's daughter because that's a fucking brilliant next move. Yeah, start trashing the judge's daughter. Let's go. Let's fucking up the ante.
One quick final word. President Trump needs to stop calling the judge conflicted. He needs to explain why he's conflicted. Every day of the trial, he goes in there and he says, the judge is conflicted bigger than I've ever seen anywhere in my life. He doesn't explain how or why. He needs to say that the judge's daughter works for a Democratic political consulting firm that does anti-Trump business. He needs to explain it. Otherwise, it's just an assertion with no proof. And the president, if he's going to say it, back it up, explain it.
I think that's a violation of the gag order. Is it not?
You can criticize the judge.
Okay.
He's free.
Not the judge, but the family.
But he's been criticizing the judge too.
That's an issue.
But when he says the judge is conflicted, you can still explain how and why, and I think comply with the gag order.
I might be wrong, but
he's
trying to be. President Trump is trying to be careful in his language.
No, he's not.
That's why he is very
measured
in his words. Thank you for
He said he was editing.
Look, they're trying to like get out of here. Stop. Like the ladies on this are like, don't go after us. Don't go. Like even the people on this Fox panel are like, no, dude.
Time today.
But his surrogates
Yeah, look, they're just talking over him now.
That people know why the judge is conflicted just doesn't hold up unless you follow every detail of the trial.
Yeah.
You have to explain these things.
Which we do here for you. We are.
Oh, imagine it being told by a panel of Fox News ghouls that you're like just giving the absolute wrong fucking advice. Up next, did you know that if Trump wins, they're gonna fucking ban pornography? They're just gonna ban it. I don't know. This is that Project 2025 shit. These are some podcast bros. You can tell they're podcast bros because the camera angle, how they're sitting. There's the podcast bros, right? Fucking podcast bros. Here, we're banning porn, fellas. Let's go.
I work for the Heritage Foundation on their Project 2025, which is in charge of staffing the next administration should Trump win. There are things that have made it, how do I want to say this? But like banning pornography, right? Like that has created such a culture of like hypersexualization in men where they don't want to settle down, where they think they can have a variety, where they, like, if that happened, people would naturally be like, oh, I want this woman. And, like that sort of thing, like it's probably radical. And people are like, what? This guy's trying to ban porn. It's like, all right. I'm just saying.
No. Oh man, they're just trying to lose. They're like, I mean, I know that Trump didn't say he was going to ban porn. I don't think Donald Trump has any interest in banning porn, but these people are trying to lose for him by being like, oh, we're going to staff his campaign. We're going to staff his presidential administration when people are going to ban porn. And there are people who would otherwise voted for him been like, honey, I'm not voting for him anymore. I heard he's going to ban pornography. Can't watch my OnlyFans. Up next, we got Trump at one of his fucking rallies talking about blue state abortions.
different. Remember, from the standpoint of what's happening, nobody wants to see abortion in the 8th month or the 9th month, or nobody wants to see execution after birth. You have a situation where Democrats, in many cases, will allow it, execution after birth, the 7th, 8th, 9th month, and after birth, execution. And if you remember,
they keep trying to this boat isn't going to float.
The governor of Virginia said it. He said, we talk with the mother along with the doctor. She has the baby. We put the baby aside and we decide what to do with the baby, meaning, do we execute the baby?
What the fuck
this
are you
is
talking
called
about?
Radical politics. This is
fucking hipster coffee shop. You having like a maternity ward, apparently.
Something, they are far more radical, but it's not even a question of that. It's a question that we have to take care of the situation. Getting it back to the states was something that was very important to everyone. We had to take the radicalism out from the Democrats, because when you can do execution or killing at a point in the life cycle, it just can't be allowed, or we're not going to allow it. But
they've been trying this. This one's not going to fly, right? they've been trying to make it fly. It's not going to fly. They've been trying for such a long time to say this is happening. This is not happening. You would have known about it. Up next, we got from Fox and Friends. We got Speaker Mike Johnson, and they're going to talk about a reasonable immigration policy if the former guy becomes the next guy.
Speaker, lastly, the President of the United States, the former president who wants to be the next president, said one of his plans is, he talked to Time Magazine, is to round up the 11 to 15 million illegals and then go through them and find out who belongs here and who doesn't. Would you support that?
Absolutely. And President Trump and I have talked about this at length, but the challenge we'll have is finding them, Brian. As you know, they've been spread out everywhere. DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, and Mayorkas, the reason we impeached him is because he's an abject failure, and they're not keeping track of where these people are. So we will have the greatest challenge of our generation to try to find them, to round them up first. And that's a very serious problem.
Well, we know where the hotels are. We could point you.
Oh, my God.
16 million number that you said under Biden. That could be a lot higher. There are a lot of them that have come over. We've seen the images, and we don't know where they are. We don't know who they are. Gotaways.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, final question.
Can't round them up, can't find them, which is one hell of a take. Yeah, that's something. Wow, we're going to have a little bit of a hard time, actually, with rounding all these people up, because they're just going to be a little bit hard to find, actually, because they're everywhere. 11 million, if people don't know, there's about 350 million people in this country. So that's like somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 in 30 people who are here. 1 in 30. We're just going to round them up. Like, my question is, who is going to do that? How many people do you need for that? Like, let's set aside the fucking obvious ethical and moral problems with this. And just the logistics of this. He was like, how do you find them? Well, yeah, first of all, I don't know, if it's 1 in 30 people that are here, just fucking stop everybody, I suppose. That's never been a problem. Nobody would ever get mad at all. Up next, we got Marjorie the Gathering. I got 2 clips of Marjorie the Gathering. She is just on a tear lately. Here's her, I believe, bringing a motion to remove the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Georgia seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A1 of Rule 9, I seek recognition to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows. Declaring the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vacant. This is the uniparty for the American
Bipartisan booing ensues.
people watching.
Gentlemen, we will suspend.
Man, this is one hell of a news week, isn't it? Oh, it's 2 weeks. This is why it's the best news of 2 weeks. I'm by the best news. I mean the worst news of the last 2 weeks.
Order. Order.
Man, bipartisan booing is a beautiful sound. Like, this is fucking amazing. I fucking took I took the wrong week off last week because most of the stuff is from last week and the news was just outrageous. And here she is. She's going to get some applause from the fucking Democrats, but not for like anything good. Check this out. She's so fucking stupid. She's so fucking stupid. If her district didn't look like fucking, it wasn't like the shape of like the ceiling of a cave with hella stalactites and shit, there's no way she'd be able to keep her job.
In a recent interview, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said, even though we're in the minority, we effectively have been governing as if we were in the majority.
The House is not in order.
Like, everybody's just chilling. Look.
In a recent interview, Minority Leader
One more time.
Jeffries said, even though we're in the minority, we effectively have been governing as if we were in the majority.
Casual Friday over there. Look, it's like fucking everybody's just kind of chilling. Like nobody's in their seat. What's going on? It's like a mini bar up at the dais or what? Like, why is everybody just kind of hanging out? Like, nobody's taking this the least bit seriously. That's great. Like, everybody's like, what are they doing? It's like at a party where everybody wants to hang out with at the DJ booth or something. Like, what is going on? Here's Representative Jim McGovern. And I got 2 clips of him. He, opposite of Marjorie the Gathering. Pretty good shit, actually.
I want to close, Mr. Chairman. I heard you say that it is important that this Congress take strong stands against hate. But I'm going to be honest with you. When I look at the agenda of my friends, the anti-LGBTQ agenda, the anti-women's rights agenda, the anti-civil rights agenda, basically trying to undermine our civil rights laws, or the indifference my friends have shown when the former president hangs around with white supremacists like Nick Fuentes. Nothing is said. So this selective outrage is really quite interesting to me. But we should combat hate wherever it is. And again, people will look at this bill and decide whether or not this is the right way to go. But my understanding is that my Republican friends have been working overtime to try to defund the Office on Civil Rights, which I think would be responsible for implementing what is recommended in this bill. Boy, it's interesting. You want to give the office more responsibility on one hand, but you want to underfund it on the other hand. I can't quite figure you guys out. But in any event, I welcome our witnesses and look forward to their testimony. I yield back.
Yeah, because this is like they're trying to like pass some shit saying that essentially like protests against Israel are somehow illegal and hateful, which is crazy. Because they want the same office that they want the civil rights division of the DOJ, essentially, I'm assuming here. They want them to have more funding, but only for the campus protests. Here's more of this guy. This guy had a great week, or maybe great couple weeks.
Mr. Duncan, are you aware that this bill was noticed to come before the Rules Committee 2 weeks ago?
Could you repeat that?
Are you aware that this bill that we're now talking about was noticed to come before the Rules Committee 2 weeks ago?
I'm not. That's above my pay grade, sir.
Well, it was. And are you also aware that the committee planned to bring up 4 other appliance-related bills at the time, in addition to the one that we're currently considering?
I'm fine with that, and wish they would bring them all up, because there is a war on the American consumer.
I guess my question to you is why the change? I mean, you're here on behalf of the House leadership to talk about this appliance, why this appliance bill should come to the floor. Can you explain to us why the 4 other appliance bills are not being considered again, but this one is?
Again, that's a question for leadership. That's above my pay grade. I'm a lowly subcommittee chairman on energy, but I will say this bill came through regular order through subcommittee and full committee after hearings of markup.
Are you aware what the titles of the other bills were that were supposed to come before this committee?
Again, I'm not.
Well, let me read you the titles. One of them was the Liberty in Laundry Act. Another was...
You got to be fucking shitting me. I didn't know that. Everybody, the Liberty and Laundry Act. I think they mean that they don't... They probably want people to be able to like have a dryer that can burn your house down.
The Refrigerator Freedom Act. And here's why I think we're not considering those bills, because I think they're an embarrassment to this institution. I mean, it seems to me Republican leadership probably realized the irony of bringing up a bill about freedom for refrigerators while simultaneously taking freedom away from millions of women in this country by overturning Roe versus Wade. And maybe they realized it was a bad look to talk about liberty in laundry while simultaneously trying to take away liberty for people who want to use IVF. And I would just say that when we use words like freedom and liberty, this is the United States Congress. These are words that are written into our founding documents, ideas Americans have fought and died for. In Ukraine right now, soldiers and civilians are being killed because they are standing up for these very principles. And when your side throws those words around and talks about refrigerator freedom, it cheapens them. And it degrades those words and it degrades this institution. So I'm glad that Republicans realized how silly and frivolous these bills are and that they pulled them from today's hearing. I'm not sure that they are banned. They will be pulled forever. But I'm going to take that as a semi-positive sign because, I mean, it was laughable, given all that is happening in this country and all that is happening in this world, that the bills that contain the words freedom and liberty are about household appliances. I mean, we have to start getting serious around here about what is important and what is not. And again, bills that are aimed at trying to save consumers money, trying to promote energy efficiency, yes, trying to wean us off of fossil fuels. I mean, I think we can have a debate on that, but to use words like freedom and liberty with regard to refrigerators and wash machines, I just think is an embarrassment.
I like this guy. He's like, I can't believe the fucking Liberty of Laundry Liberty Act. I had no fucking idea. This is a failed state, everybody. It's a failed state. It's a good thing, I guess, we can laugh about it, but this is the other. I mean, like our Australian friends are just like, well, things aren't necessarily perfect here in Australia, but look over there at the United States. Up next, we got Glenn, how do you say his name? Grothman versus Jamie Raskin on the House floor.
First of all, our Pledge of Allegiance, which we say every day, we pledge allegiance to the Republic for which we stand, right? The flag and the Republic for which we stand. When Benjamin Franklin, after our Constitution was ratified, he talked about giving us a republic if we can keep it. And I think people should analyze those two little quotes and wonder why there were references to republic in both of them. In any event.
Speaker, thank you very much. I'm about to yield to my friend Ms. Meng from New York, but I'm inspired by the remarks of the gentleman from Wisconsin, especially about the word republic, which of course comes from res publica, the public thing. He happened upon a subject that's of a lot of interest to me because I wrote a paper about it when I was in 6th grade, the Pledge of Allegiance. It was written by a radical Baptist minister named Francis Bellamy. I'm not sure if the gentleman's aware of that, on the 400th anniversary of Columbus's arrival in the New World. And Reverend Bellamy, who was an abolitionist in Vermont, was concerned about the continuing salute of the Confederate battle flag in the southern states. And so he wanted to write a flag salute that would be unifying for the Union. And he wrote, "I pledge allegiance to my flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice for all. And you notice what is not in there. He did not have under God. That was added in 1954 by Congress, several weeks after the Supreme Court's decision in Brown versus Board of Education. But in any event, I'm not quite sure what the relevance is of the gentleman's invocation of the Republic or of Ben Franklin and the famous vignette about him saying, if you can keep it. Ben Franklin was, of course, a big supporter of immigration to the country, although he did display an anti-German bias in some of his writings. But I'll tell you a little story about Ben Franklin that might be of relevance to what the gentleman's talking about. Apparently, because I just did a tour in Philadelphia with the Ben Franklin people up there, and we learned this wonderful story. He made a loan to a friend of his for $100, and then he recorded in his diary that this gentleman he made a loan to for $100, Josiah, was always disappearing behind a tree or a building whenever Ben came along. And he finally caught up with him and he said, Josiah, you know, I loaned you $100, and I'm wondering, am I going to be able to get my principal back, or at least the interest? And Josiah said, well, Ben, look, the $100 is well invested somewhere else, so you don't have to worry about that. And Franklin said, well, what about the interest? He said, well, I forgot to tell you that it's against my religion to pay interest, so I can't pay you the interest. So Franklin said, you mean to tell me it's against your principal to pay me the interest, and it's against your interest to pay me the principal? And Josiah said, well, that's right. So Franklin said, well, I can see I'm not going to get either. Well, look, here our principles and our interests converge very much. The principles are set forth in the Constitution, which is we count everybody, and everybody is part of the census, and everybody is part of the reapportionment process. It's been like that since 1790. We don't need to start finger painting on the Constitution with this silly election year proposal. But it's also in our interests because, as my colleagues have said, this is a land that is built on immigration, except for the Native Americans who are already here and the people who were brought over as slaves. All of us are the descendants of immigrants to this country. Tom Paine said when he got to America in 1774, 2 years before the Revolution, he said, this land, if it lives up to its principles, will become an asylum to humanity. Not an insane asylum, mind you. An asylum to humanity, a place of refuge for people seeking freedom from religious, political, and economic oppression. That's who we are.
I don't know. Maybe he was right. Maybe he was right about it being a fucking insane asylum instead of being like a place where people seek asylum. What the fuck? I don't know what's going on. I mean, like, whatever. I suppose this land is your land. This land is my land. Up next, we got Kevin McCarthy versus Matt Gaetz. Let them fight.
And I'll give you the truth why I'm not speaker. It's because one person, a member of Congress, wanted me to stop an ethics complaint because he slept with a 17-year-old. An ethics complaint that started before I ever became speaker, and that's illegal, and I'm not going to get in the middle. Did he do it or not? I don't know.
So first of all, you have long denied these allegations. The Justice Department conducted an investigation. They brought no charges against you. There is a congressional ethics probe going on. I want to give you an opportunity to respond and see if you've had any conversations or discussions with Kevin McCarthy or Mike Johnson about any of this.
No, I haven't. It's obvious from that clip Kevin's having a totally normal one, and his life is back to copacetic post being speaker. Look, I'm the most investigated man in Congress. There's not a single human being who has publicly accused me of any wrongdoing of any kind. And like, at what point after these things have been said about me for years and years, and
where's Nestor?
The person has even accused me of wrongdoing, does this sort of become a strange urban legend? My concerns with Kevin McCarthy were around his truthfulness, which, by the way, he certainly didn't advance any veracity in those comments.
So let's
I'm the most investigated person. Gosh, like, why would you? That's not something to be so proud of. These people aren't really good at taking out their own trash for the most part, dude. Not something really you want to brag about. Up next, we're going to go to New Hampshire. This is the GOP state representative, Jess Edwards. He seems, you'll see. He's sometimes people just say things that I don't know, no person should fucking say. And here's one of those cases where you could just not say anything.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for taking my question. Do you agree with the point of view that if we continually restrict the freedom of marriage as a legitimate social option, when we do this to people who are of ripe fertile age and may have a pregnancy and a baby involved, are we not in fact making abortion a much more desirable alternative when marriage might be the right solution for some freedom-loving couple?
He's talking about fucking underage marriage. He's like, when they're fertile and, oh God. Yeah, he's talking about marrying underage people with their fertile and ripe. Oh God, do people just think, oh, I'm going to show them. Fuck, show you. Fuck, that 15-year-old girl is fertile and ripe. You fucking monster. For a while, I was starting to get a little bored with the Sunday show. I'm like, God, it's the same thing week in and week out. Not this week. Oh boy, this one's been fucking hot. Here's Alabama Senator Katie Boyd Britt. It's the Opportunities for Moms to Succeed Act.
Hi, as a mom, I know that there is no greater blessing in this life than our children. And I also understand the types of challenges that women face during their pregnancy journeys and while raising their kids. This week, I'm introducing the Moms Act in the Senate. The Moms Act stands for more opportunities.
Wait, it's like a recursive. What the fuck? It's a fucking the word, no, dude. Oh no, it's like a recursive acronym. Stop it.
Succeed. This legislation would provide critical support to women during typically challenging phases of motherhood.
Couldn't you just said mothers instead of moms?
That includes the prenatal, postpartum, and early childhood development stages. To all of my fellow moms out there, my goal is to give you and your children the opportunities to thrive and to live your American dreams. I'll continue to fight to advance a comprehensive culture of life, to empower parents and to grow opportunities for hard-working families so that every child across our nation can reach their God-given potential and every woman can thrive.
Yeah, she does seem a little...
Don't forget to follow us on social media for beautiful food and inspiration.
So she could have done more opportunities for mothers to succeed. That would be the Moms Act, but instead she said the more opportunities for moms to succeed. So the word moms is part of the fucking acronym. The only time that's ever cool is when like Linux projects do like recursive acronyms, but they know they're doing a recursive acronym. Up next, every once in a while, Fox and Friends is kind of great. This is oh no, this is not great. Oh, this is actually pretty funny. So this is about Wisconsin, and the background here is that there was a Foxconn plant that was supposed to be going up in, I believe it was Foxconn that was supposed to be going up in Wisconsin, and it didn't happen in Wisconsin. And here's some shit.
So, Peter, this new AI Microsoft thing, $3 billion, big job creators, that's in Racine. Isn't that the same town that Foxconn said, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, we're going to build a big plant, and they never did?
Yes, and that was a huge Trump announcement back then, and he said that the factory was going to be the 8th wonder of the world, but then Foxconn decided to really scale back their plans, and the land is still available, so Microsoft is going in.
It's going to be good for those people.
All right. Thank you, Peter. A few weeks ago.
Oh my God. Why are these? I don't even know what's, I think the deuce is turned on Donald Trump. Honestly, I think the deuce is loose. Has just turned the corner on all this. Up next, we got one Mr. Rudy Giuliani. I think we're pretty soon going to relegate Mr. Rudy Giuliani to red light. I think he's going to be in sort of a Mike Lindell land pretty soon here. Here's Rudy Giuliani. This one's great. This one's great. He's suggesting here that Mike Johnson and Jim Jordan do exactly what Trump was impeached for. They should lean on Zelensky to get the Biden file. Like they've just got a Biden file that's just like waiting to be used as like Oppo research over there. It's so weird.
With Brennan, when they were hatching, when he was informed of Hillary coming up with the false plot, it should begin with him, and it should include Brennan. It should include Biden, the vice president, who approved it and helped out. They should bring over from Ukraine about 20 Ukrainian witnesses. I can get them that are still being held there. A couple
you can get them.
Found out very.
Go get them, Rudy. Go to Ukraine.
Are in fear of death, and somebody should lean on Zelensky. You want another penny? Give us your Biden. Give us your Biden file.
So that's one of the things, similar to one of the things Trump was impeached for, and they also said that Biden had done something similar to that, withholding aid to Ukraine if they didn't fire some crooked motherfucker. These people, this is great. I got another Rudy Giuliani. Maybe it's stuff like that, though. Maybe that's why he lost his radio gig. I guess he was on WABC up until very recently. Not on WABC anymore. Here's him on a Bannon show to talk about it. Hold on, you missed it. One more time.
And the Wall Street Journal. The Bidens don't realize who's doing who can really inflict atomic destruction to them. They were going along just fine until Giuliani found the people in Ukraine and explained your admission in front of, what was it, the Atlantic Council or the Council on Foreign Policy, is just want to be free to tell people the truth. You want to stop me, don't you? Yeah. The Democrat thing has something to do with it. And the fact that the Bidens are really zeroing in now on interference with the 2024 election. You're on the side who wanted to shut me up at a time in which I have financial difficulties. So you're hoping that all I care about is money, like you. You know something, you can take your money and shove it up your, you know what? The way you treated me, you leaked it to the Times while we were discussing it. And you informed my partner, Dr. Maria, by email. You fired me for two reasons. You fired me to interfere in the election because once a Democrat, always a Democrat. And you're sucking up to them, John. And don't tell me you're not.
I don't know who John is, but we stand John.
Father, whatever his name is, it's got you a little worried that they may screw you if Biden wins. And you've always played two sides. You got Weiner on. Jesus, I think Weiner's should be on a list. I think when Weiner comes in, the women should be allowed to leave. Right? Didn't you ask me to do a show with Weiner? Mm-hmm. What did I tell you? I didn't say go to hell. I was much nicer than that. I said, no. I would never be on the air with Weiner. Not because he's a Democrat. Because of the kinds of things that he did that are sickeningly perverted.
I have no idea why he got fired from WABC radio. This is a fucking travesty of justice here, friends. Absolute fucking travesty of justice here, but don't worry. Don't worry, he got rehired already. And it wasn't by Mike Lindell, because I don't think Mike Lindell has the money to pay him, but he got rehired already. Check this out. Got rehired by this fucking ghoul.
Response.
I would know that.
Rudy, I want to announce right now, Real America's Voice, Rob Sigg, Stephen K. Bannon are going to put their heads together and figure out how we get Rudy and Dr. Maria over to Real America's Voice, because that may be the last platform of freedom in this country.
Oh, that was a comedy in 3 parts, friends. That was a comedy in 3 parts. Yeah, I haven't had this much fun doing the Sunday show in a year, at least. Up next, Did you know that the protests are funded by fucking George Soros? Because of course they are, because this makes total sense. Anyway, here we go. Here's from Fox. Oh my God, it's fucking Nancy Mace. God damn it.
You've got groups that are funded by George Soros. There are Palestinian rights groups that I believe are involved, funded by George Soros, and they need to be off of our college campuses if they're committing violence, full stop.
All right. There's no proof that these are funded by George Soros, by the way, but their folks have denied that. But we'll see exactly where all of this money is coming from.
We'll agree to disagree, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I just looked for the checks, and I haven't seen them yet. But Nancy, thank you very much on that. In the meantime,
making fun of Nancy Mace. I think some of the people on Fox are in the process of turning on these crazies. Up next, we got just a short clip of Mehdi Hassan on CNN talking to just talking to people, I guess. It's a tragedy that Mehdi Hassan got fired, but it seems like he's doing pretty good. I like Mehdi Hassan. Was like one of the only people I thought was any good on MSNBC actually for a while. But here he is on CNN.
Yeah, I'm listening to the second edition of Mehdi Hassan's monologue that I saw earlier. And it's not surprising that you're parroting Hamas talking points.
So I think all of your viewers saw me quote the spokesperson for the Israeli hostages' families. And the colonel then said, I'm parroting Hamas talking points. He's referring to the hostages' families as Hamas, as parroting Hamas talking points, because I quoted them. I didn't quote Hamas. In fact, tonight, the colonel knows that hundreds of people went to Netanyahu's house and screamed, you have blood on your hands, Israeli protesters. I guess they're all Hamas, right? The Israeli position now is anyone who disagrees with them is Hamas. I'm guessing tomorrow they'll say CIA Director Bill Burns, who was involved in this hostage negotiation deal, he's Hamas too. Everyone's Hamas. And as for deception, I mean, come on. The colonel was a spokesperson for the IDF, which has spent the last 6 months lying. Abby, your network has debunked multiple lies that the Israeli military has told. CNN's Jeremy Diamond, I urge all your viewers to go and watch your colleague Jeremy Diamond's report on 10 kids killed in the Al-Maghazi refugee camp last month. The Israelis said we had nothing to do with it. And yet Jeremy interviewed 3 munitions experts who looked at the evidence and said, yeah, Israel killed those 10 kids. So when we talk about deception, we're learning from the masters here.
Fuck, dude. He's like, oh, you quoted Hamas talking points. He's like, oh, these are Israeli citizens who are have their family members that are being held hostage actually by Hamas. They're Hamas too? I mean, I guess their family's hanging out with Hamas. So, why is their family hanging out with Hamas? God, just keeps getting dumber. Up next, we got Ari Melber versus RFK Jr.
People are concerned not that this is Nader 2.0, but that you are using the platform and the following you have to suggest that they're both catastrophic and they're similar, and that you, they say, are ignoring not only the policy difference, but the actual possible democracy and autocratic threat of Donald Trump if he wins again. Perhaps thanks to you, your response.
Yeah, I never said that. So, like I said, I think both of them did bad things to our country. I think both of them contributed. President Trump, more than any president in history, built $8 trillion after coming in and promising the country that he was going to run the government like a business. He shut down every business.
Well, he did. He ran the country like a Trump business.
3 million businesses with no due process, no just compensation. That's a violation of the Constitution. He ran up an $8 trillion debt. More money he spent than every president between George Washington and George W. Bush, 283 years. President Biden is racing to catch up with him. He's added $1 trillion in the last 100 days. They're both catastrophic. Neither of them can solve that problem. Let me tell you something else they can't do. Neither of them can end the vitriol that you are trying to pump up right now. I understand.
What have I said that's vitriolic?
What
have I said that's vitriolic?
You're saying to me that I need to take it aside and say one person.
No, I'm asking you about, you're running for president, a big job, and I'm asking you about what people say out there.
You told me I would have the floor. You told me.
Yes, I did.
Well, wait, what the fuck? This is an interview, dude. You're not on like a fucking you're not on a podcast, bro. This is an interview. Yeah, you don't get to just talk for fucking 45 minutes like you're on the fucking Eric Weinstein show, dude. This is like an 8-minute news hit. So then the person is going to ask you questions and stop you and ask you to clarify. This is like cable news, dude.
You just suggested that I am perpetrating vitriol. And I asked you to substantiate that. What have I said today that is vitriolic?
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I said.
Oh, that's fucking great. He's like, I don't know. Fuck that. I just said a thing. You're doing a vitriol. And he's like, oh, what vitriol did I do? And he's like, I need to finish my fucking monologue.
When I announced a year ago, is that we are facing a time in our history, Harry, that is more, and I think you'll agree with this, you are a student of history, that is more vitriolic, more polarized, more poisonous than at any time since the American Civil War. And it's all being amplified by the social media algorithms. And it's hard to see a way out of that. If somebody doesn't come along and say, I'm not going to participate in that. And even if people act crazy on both sides, I'm not going to be part of that craziness.
But you're not addressing the question I raised, and maybe you won't, which is that what we just heard from former President Trump and what he does in the racism, in the misogyny, refusing to leave peacefully through January 6th, up through that night, praising the people who are now convicted seditionists. What I played for you, people don't all see what you seem to be saying, which is a type of equivalence. Do you see something different about that and the threat of that this election or not? And if not, so be it. But that's what people are asking.
This is when I say you're feeding into the vitriol. You're trying to get me to hate on President Trump.
Not hate on. I'm talking about what happened.
You're supposedly running against him, dude.
The Capitol, they tried to overthrow the certification and the results of a lawful election. And Donald Trump is out here now saying...
How dare you ask me to criticize my opponent in an election?
As, according to his lawyers, license to kill, license to coup will pardon all those people. And so you seem to be saying, discussing that as vitriolic. No, it's not. Having a clear position on the peaceful transfer of power is a very low bar. Very low bar. And the reason why people are asking this is not just because they're trying to distract from your issues, although you're getting time to discuss them. But again, you're well familiar with your campaign put out a statement and an email that said basically the people at January 6th who stormed the Capitol were stripped of their constitutional liberties. They were, quote, activists. You retracted it, but then you hired a Republican operative who's lied about January 6th, called it democratic misdirection. We are talking about whether there are rules and nonviolence enforced in our country or not. And that was a violent storming of the Capitol. Can you unequivocally condemn that, or do you leave us all out here because of whatever your reasons, whether you think that's part of the voting bloc or something else?
Look, January 6th was a terrible time in our history, a terrible day. People committed terrible crimes. They committed violence against police officers. They broke into the Capitol. They stormed the Capitol.
Well, they stole a door.
They committed other crimes, and a lot of people are in jail, and they should be. So I condemn that, but I'm not going to campaign based upon drumming up or amplifying people's hatred towards each other. I think we need to start figuring out a way to find common ground.
Sure, but you condemn that, and Donald Trump would be you would be wrong to then pardon it. You condemn it.
He is fucking so used to going on like fucking like Russell Brand and Jordan Peterson and all those people where they just let him talk and talk and talk, and he is not happy here that he is on a 7-minute hit we have here. This is formatted. This is supposed to be tight. Supposed to ask a question, answer the question, ask a question, answer the question. And he is not pleased that he is not allowed to fucking monologue and make rapid fire claims. Fucking podcast brain.
Say sure, but what you do and what you do when you're sitting in this chair every night is your job is to inflame that. And my job is to It's to de-escalate.
I don't feel inflamed at all.
You don't feel, I know, but that's what you're doing. I don't disagree with the things you're saying. I'm just not going to participate in it. That's all. I'm not disagreeing with you.
But there is a theme here of what many people see as a false equivalence. And we could go through all that.
But I didn't say that there's a moral equivalence. All I said is both of them did things that were wrong for our country.
Okay, so to go back to the question.
And both of them attacked the Constitution.
But to button up the question, because you condemn January 6th, then Donald Trump, who you're running against, you would disagree with his talk of pardoning the convicted seditionists and people who trespassed and stormed the Capitol.
Listen, I would, in terms of pardoning people, I'm going to use the pardon power. I don't know who I'm going to use. I'm an attorney. I'm going to look at every case that's
so is Ari Melber, dude.
For me and make a decision on it. I'm not going to.
But as a general, I'm not trying.
I'm not. Yeah, you're trying to say in advance who I'm going to pardon, who I'm not going to pardon. I'm not issuing a general pardon to any category of people.
So when you look at his talk, which is doing that, he talks about taking the convicts from January 6th.
You're trying to get me to condemn him again on these.
I'm asking you about your views. You're running
Are you asking me to differentiate myself on an important matter from one of the people I'm running against for president? That's what that's what's happening here. He's the interviewer, Ari Melber's doing a pretty good job. And he's just saying, this is the position of your opponent. Do you have a different position? And then he's like, you're trying to get me to fucking be mean to Donald Trump. And it's like, well, maybe, because you are running against him ostensibly for president of the United States.
Running for president is a big job, and I'm asking you, would you be open to those kind of pardons or not?
Here's my views. We have the worst inflation of generation. We're embroiled in it.
Fucking kick him off your fucking show. Fuck it. This guy's nobody anyway. This guy's not going to win. This is the end, I think, of his 15 minutes. Just be like, all right, well, thank you for your time today. And then just fucking run cat videos for a couple minutes.
And a war that we should have never got involved with in Ukraine. Just both, President Trump said he was going to end that war.
Right, but the question is about those pardons. Would you be open to that or not?
What do you mean? I'm not. Listen, I'm an attorney.
Yeah.
I was a prosecutor. You were, I think, a legal aid attorney.
A legal aid attorney?
I was a prosecutor. I would never say in advance of running for political office who I'm going to pardon and who.
But that's what he's doing, and you're running against him. And I'm asking you, as a journalist, where you stand on
their
that.
Case. I'm not going to do that.
So that will sound to people like you're leaving that door open. You don't need to. Do you want to leave that door open? Well, I'm surprised.
I'm not going to leave it open or closed. I'm not answering it until I look at people's cases.
But I'm not. You're just not answering.
I'm just talking
you
football.
Fucking idiot! You fucking idiot! My God! Just say, "Oh no, I differ from my opponent on that." That's all. Oh yeah, word him up. He's running as an independent. He could just be like, "Oh, this is one of the places I differ from my opponent on. I do not believe I'm inclined to issue pardons." In that way, like, I don't understand, like, what the fuck, why it's so difficult here. Up next, I guess the Boy Scouts changed their name, and Hannity thinks it's because of woke, but it's actually not because of woke. Check this out.
And the Boy Scouts of America are now extinct. Why? Because of woke left-wing politics. And all right, another day, another organization has fallen victim to the woke mob. Yesterday, the Boy Scouts of America announced they're changing their name to Scouting America in an attempt to be more inclusive.
Dry up. One of the reasons behind this, in addition to the trying to be more inclusive, they say, and the rebranding is, and I was a Boy Scout for 7-8 years.
So last year.
It was a lot of fun. Right up until last year.
You could make a fire with two sticks.
I could, and I can do lashings and knots and semaphore.
Slip knots.
But here's the thing. They had to rebrand because they went bankrupt, because they were facing $2.5 billion worth of abuse claims because of Boy Scout leaders back in the day.
The woke mob is when when people sue you for engaging in fucking child abuse.
Don't bother the girls.
They haven't talked about the girls.
The girls
yet.
want to join.
I was a Brownie. My dad.
Fucking the deuce is loose, everybody. The deuce is out there fucking kicking ass and taking names. I mean, I don't like the deuce so much, but like he's just all the clips we played of the deuce were fucking pretty good. What if the deuce joins the good side? That'd be pretty cool if the deuce joins the good side. He's still a dumb fuck, but it'd be pretty good if the deuce joins the good side. Up next, we got the Heritage Foundation. Heritage Foundation is David Gortler talks ivermectin.
The drugs we take and the food we eat are the most regulated things in the world, despite many people thinking that it's things like guns or airplanes or cars. Since most people know at least a little bit about cars, I'm going to use a car analogy to compare COVID mRNA injections to the development of a new car. Let's say that it normally takes 10 to 12 hours to assemble a car, representing the 10 to 12 years that it takes to bring a vaccine to market. Let's also say that due to some sort of emergency, new cars would be jammed down the same assembly line in just 45 minutes instead of 10 to 12 hours, representing the relative 9 months it took to bring COVID RNA injections to market. Let's also suppose that those cars are something completely different from what you know as cars. I don't just mean the next cool-looking car. I mean something visibly and technologically unrecognizable. Whatever advanced car you're picturing in your head right now, it's not that. It's something more complex. On top of its novel design of the car, all of the parts of that car are new. The new car being produced might not have wheels, a brake pedal, a windshield, for instance. Let's also say
sir, then it's not a car.
It wasn't powered by electricity or combustion either. Instead, it uses your body as a fuel source.
That'd be pretty cool. That's a bicycle, sir.
Not only are all the parts new, but the materials used to manufacture those parts are new, with decades of research showing them to often be extremely delicate, finicky, or toxic, representing the fully synthetic RNA nucleotide and lipid nanoparticle components. Of note, since the development and review of time was reduced by over 90%, even if the slightest error was made to those ultra-complex cars, the car might not work at all and or could be extremely unsafe and or highly unpredictable for you, your family, friends, and fellow drivers. Let's also say that the new car was so novel and different from every other car on the road that it didn't even meet the current definitions of car. Rather than call it what it was, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration unilaterally altered its 100-year-old plus definition of a car on its website overnight without seeking outside input. This represents the CDC's fall of 2021 abrupt definition change of vaccines versus gene therapy. If a curious materials scientist
This is
or
an episode
engineer
of Brett Weinstein's show. What the fuck is happening?
wanted to perform research about the design and materials used in this new car, in place of critical technical information, 70% of the document would be grayed out with B4 redactions, translating to, quote, protects trade secrets and confidential commercial or financial information. In other words, the engineering blueprints and materials used to build that car were secret, despite taxpayer dollars being used to research and produce those cars.
So yeah, he's mixing metaphors in a way that it's getting hard to follow.
Let's compare that new car to an existing car. To keep expenses low, I personally prefer to drive a very specific older car, which is a true story, by the way. It's nowhere near as fancy or elaborate or laden with features, but it's inexpensive and quite safe, just like ivermectin.
Oh, just like ivermectin. Ivermectin is like your 92 Civic.
And other COVID treatments. Let's also say my old car was so safe and reliable that it won the Nobel Prize. While my 1995 Lexus LS400 never received a Nobel Prize for medicine, the Japanese inventor of ivermectin.
If you're gonna drive like a old car to save money, why would you drive like an ugly ass car like that? Like that 1995 was a good year for cars. Jetta looked pretty good that year. Honda Civic be looking good in 1995.
And did in 2015. Despite that, one day, the government, who does not have congressional authority to recommend what available cars to buy or not buy, and has never done so in the past, proclaims that my Nobel Prize-winning car should now only be driven by horses and cows, as per the FDA's famous tweet. Now, they aren't recalling the car, but they are screaming from on high their unmistakable disapproval, mocking patients and physicians who drive it. Of note, the FDA has no congressional authority to recommend one drug or medical treatment over another and has never done so in the past. Several obsequious state pharmacy boards take it to the next level and use the FDA's implication to forbid the use of my traditional car to anyone other than horses or cows.
Wait, what?
As 20,000 career FDA employees remain conspicuously silent.
What the shit?
Today, over 100 studies published by over 1,100 authors conducted in over 140,000 patients in 29 countries show a statistically significant lower risk for mortality, ventilation, ICU, hospitalization, recovery, incidence, and viral clearance for ivermectin.
No, this is untrue.
Associated with use of vitamin D and hydroxy.
Where the fuck is Marcus Homozygote when you need him?
Chloroquine. How peculiar is it that some of the same politicians who believe it is okay to legalize hard street drugs such as heroin
Oh no, now we're legalizing fucking heroin and methamphetamines.
methamphetamines have a cow when it comes to ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, vitamin D, and other protocols to COVID. To the countries, physicians, and pharmacists who prescribed ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, I would like to tell you right now, you were right. The pharmacy boards were wrong. Period. I would bet you my prized 1995 LS400 on it. To summarize, medical scientists not only have the right but the duty to ask questions about the safety and unnecessarily complex pharmaceutical jammed through an expedited review process when there are inexpensive, undebatably safe and effective alternatives available. There is an academic medical discourse should be encouraged, not quelled. Thank you very much. I look forward to cultivating an academic exchange with everybody here.
Right, but you're not. That's not where you have an academic exchange. You're in a political space. I mean, I kind of got nothing. It just feels like we've been teleported back to like 2001. I do believe that man is a physician of some sort, but he also works for the Heritage Foundation. So, you know. Anyway, up next. On my notes, it just says, damn, he just sat there. Here's Vivek Ramaswamy talking to fucking Ann Coulter.
And that's why I brought on today somebody who I think has some thoughtful perspectives on the future direction of our country, of our conservative movement, and on this question of nationalism and national identity, somebody I've been fascinated by for a long time and have interacted with on social media, but for the first time we're having at least live form conversation in the offline sense of it. It's Ann Coulter. So Ann, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I too am a fan of yours. So I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black.
Whoa. This is going to be the hottest minute and 6 seconds on this fucking show this week. My God, Ann.
Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
What the fuck, dude? Bro, just sit there. I mean, that's why I knew he had no chance. Like, his positions were pretty good for the Republican Party, but his name is fucking Vivek Ramaswamy, and they were never going to vote for him. Oh shit. We got a giveaway during the podcast part of the show. Allie Drew gifted a Toast Cat stainless steel water bottle. Everybody hit ! Enter to win that. Let's ! Enter in the chat, everybody. If you're listening on the podcast version of this, is something we do during Red Light via Fourth Wall. People can give away items during the show. Allie Drew just generously gave away a Toast Cat item. If you don't know what Toast Cat is, go to eplex.store. We got one more story here, one more clip before we I guess the lights are already red because we started late, but before we play boomers and go into the even crazier part of this week's docket. Well, it's going to be hard to top what we just said. Up next, though, we have a Christian nationalist. Americans are so degenerate that the Constitution no longer works or applies. So that's That's something, I suppose. Oh, and whoever it is on the is that Matt Walsh, or is that like, is he on Matt Walsh's show? Anyway.
We're degenerates.
That's not Matt Walsh. Well, but thank you. Here we go.
We're degenerates. We're not even close to, we're degenerates. The Constitution is not, it's not suited for governing degenerates. For governing degenerates, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, if you agree, disagree.
Hard to disagree.
But I think for our population that is degraded morally and culturally, and religiously, as far as we have, you need power. Men must be governed. you need a Caesar type, Now, if you're asking me my preference, that would probably be my preference, would be a constitutional republic. But I think the conditions for that is a moral people. So I think you can work towards that in the future. But I don't think constitutioning even harder is going to get us out of our current mess. I don't see us getting out of this apart from things getting worse and worse, and then eventually like a Caesar type rising through the ranks, a populist, figure, and the people, the political will, the people are desperate, and they're like, yes, do it, so-and-so, and then so-and-so, Constitution be damned, just rules with an iron fist, and like a Cromwell type, and then
what the fuck,
you hopefully don't get his son. Maybe then you're able, and then you maybe it's just a one generation, one guy kind of thing, and then you have to move back to aristocracy or some other form.
We're gonna move back to aristocracy. All right, dude. Fucking this guy. Like, listen, this guy. You could be anything. You could be anything. And this guy decided, I guess, that he wants to be fucking Matt Walsh, which is certainly something. Avalon of Babylon won the Toast Cat stainless steel water bottle. Fuck yeah! Make sure you're not gonna have any hard time redeeming that. I think you've already won an item. Podcast people, you're like, what the hell is going on with this show? Who is Avalon of Babylon? Why is he mentioning chat? You're listening to kind of what it sounds like during red light. And I may change the format of this show, actually. Starting it at 9, pop the red lights on, and have like more of a conversation with the community during this show, because I think it's a good idea, and I think it kind of puts our best foot forward for people on Spotify, and I think it will attract people to the Twitch channel, especially if you know that Allie Drew might give you a fucking water bottle. Thanks for the gift item, Allie Drew. You've been a friend of ours since before we even were doing video. I appreciate it. So that's been the podcast part of the show. I do think we're going to give the whole thing out this week as a freebie. You'll be able to get it at eplex.store or at patreon.com/echoplex. So I do prefer you get it at eplex.store. So because maybe while you're there, you could peruse the items. If you go to eplex.store and just go to the members section, this will be a freebie there, and it looks like Avalon of Babylon has already redeemed her a gift. So, yeah, podcast people, if you want the rest of the show, I should have probably announced this at the beginning, but if you want the rest of the show, you can just head on over to eplex.store and you can get the rest of it. And we'll be giving this away as a freebie, and this may be the format going forward. I'll have to have a discussion with myself about it, because I'm the only one who appears on this show these days, and that's fine. Take a break, pour a drink. You usually got to change the color of the lights and change the fucking content of my beverage, but my beverage is empty and my lights are already red, so I'm just going to go make a drink, and we'll be back with what would usually be the red light docket, but is just, well, I can tell you a little bit about it. We got Canada response to Bill Maher. We got the Ohio State commencement was certainly something. Oh no. During the break, we also have another gift. It'll be a Rainbow Frogs coffee mug. That'll be Allie Drew. Please hit !enter again if you'd like to win that. Allie Drew be making it rain drinkware around here. So we got the Ohio State commencement. Sure was something. We got Adam Mockler, whoever that is, versus Mike Pillow. We got Sean Fucked went to Los Angeles. It's a thread. Most of the videos are short, but we'll go ahead and watch those. We got We Must Unliberate the Women. And then, you're not going to believe this, we have former House of Representatives, a member, George Santos versus Little Nicky Fuentes. And then we're going to check in on old Madison Star Moon, as we're ought to do around here. This is Boomers, and I'm going to go make a drink. And when we come back, the first thing we'll do is announce the winner of the mug.